Jimmy Butler is gone, and the Miami Heat, as we knew them, they don't exist anymore. What replaced them is something the league hadn't seen before. A team running at the fastest pace in the NBA, burning through possessions, wearing down bodies in the process, and betting everything on speed over structure. This wasn't a simple roster refresh. Miami dismantled an identity built around one dominant individual and forced an entirely different system into place. The turning point didn't happen this offseason, and you won't see it on the roster list on screen. It happened at the end of last season, the moment the front office decided that leaning on Butler's force of will in crunch time had a structural ceiling, so they moved him. In return, they got Andrew Wiggins and Davion Mitchell, an elite on-ball defender with precision as a playmaker, and a two-way wing with no real holes. That combination sent a clear signal. Miami was done grinding through half-court sets. They wanted transition, pace, and pressure. Then the front office kept going. Duncan Robinson, Kevin Love, Terry Rozier, all out. Those are players built for complex off-ball actions, disciplined spacing, and screen-heavy sets. Everything that, by design, slows a game down. Norman Powell and Simone Fontecchio came in. The contrast is stark. Powell doesn't wait for a play to develop. He attacks spot-ups, wins isolation reps, and pushes the pace in transition without a second thought. Fontecchio adds versatility across the lineup. Together, they gave Miami something it hadn't had in years, a roster capable of playing fast without the wheels coming off. The idea was straightforward. Replace Butler's singular gravity with a group built for speed and instant decision-making. And on paper, it worked. A team that ranked near the bottom of the league in pace completely flipped its identity. But speed at that level has a cost. And by the time the season ended, the cracks that no system could paper over had become impossible to ignore. On screen, you're looking at 3 layers of data. The top section shows Miami's league-wide rankings across key categories from NBA.com. The bottom shows the combined ability rankings for each team's top 10 players, sourced from NBA SDB. And in the middle, the ability chart visualizes where this roster actually stands across every major skill set. Start with pace. Last season, Miami ranked 27th in the league, one of the slowest teams in the NBA. This season, they're first. Dead last to number 1 in a single offseason. That's not a gradual shift, that's a complete identity overhaul. The offensive numbers moved with it. Offensive rating climbed from 21st to 12th. Defensive rating slipped from 9th to 13th. The net result, their point differential ranking pushed from 16th to 13th. The offense gained more than the defense lost, at least on paper. Now look at the ability rankings and the full picture gets sharper. The gains are real. Overall talent ranking for the top 10 players moved from 19th to 13th. Scoring ability jumped from 25th to 15th. Passing ability is now sitting 5th. That's top 5 in the entire league. This isn't a star-dependent team anymore. The passing and scoring are distributed, systemic, and running through the whole roster. But the other side of that ledger is hard to ignore. Defensive ability dropped from 11th to 18th. Blocking ability fell from 22nd all the way to 28th. The front court personnel didn't change dramatically from last season, so the collapse in those numbers has a specific cause. Check the opponent allowed stats. Points allowed in the paint went from 14th to 21st Street. Second chance points allowed went from 6th to 20th. Running at the fastest pace in the league grinds down your bigs. By the time they need to hold position and protect the rim, the legs simply aren't there. Bam Adebayo took a severe fall late in the season and missed significant time. Andrew Wiggins went down too. Both absences hit the defense at exactly the wrong moment. There is one defensive category that actually improved: opponent fast break points. Miami went from 13th to 9th, but that's not about transition defense. Their turnover rate ranks 4th in the league. They're not giving easy opportunities away. And their steal ranking climbed from 17th to 13th. The aggressive ball pressure up front is, somewhat ironically, the one thing keeping the defense from completely unraveling. So that's where Miami actually is: scoring up, passing elite, paint defense and rim protection quietly falling apart. A system that generates real offensive gains, but one that's physically taxing the players holding it together. The next section breaks down exactly how that offense is being generated, play type by play type. You're looking at NBA.com's play type breakdown. The screen compares 2 numbers for each play type: frequency of possessions and points per possession efficiency, with last season in light green and this season in dark green. The shift is immediate and unmistakable. Transition frequency: last season Miami ranked 27th. This season, they're first. No team in the league runs more. And to make room for all that pace, the plays that define the old Heat culture got completely phased out. Handoff frequency, 30th. Pick and roll frequency, 30th. The entire screen-based playbook is gone. Here's where it gets complicated though. Miami runs transition more than anyone, and their transition efficiency ranks 24th. Last season it was 7th. They're generating the possessions. They're just not converting them. So the offense had to find another answer, and it found two. Spot-up frequency jumped to 1st in the league. Isolation frequency climbed from 18th to 8th, with efficiency moving from 21st to 10th. That isolation number is worth sitting with for a second. Miami traded away Jimmy Butler, the most isolation-dependent player on the roster, and their isolation numbers actually got better. Norman Powell is the reason. He creates advantages in the flow of the game, defenders collapse, and the open shooter fires. It's a simpler read than anything Butler ran, and right now it's working. The other piece holding this offense together is on the glass. Putback frequency jumped from 21st to 7th. When transition attempts break down at the rim, Keller Ware in the front court are cleaning up the mess. The data is clear on that. Miami's offense this season runs on pace, spot-ups, isolation, and second chances, not on structure. The next section breaks down how each position group is holding up inside that system. On the ability charts, red is this season, pink is last season, and blue marks the league average. The shaded pink background covers the top 50 in the league. The yellow zone is top 10 territory. For overall scores, 780 is the baseline for a starter-level player, and 720 is the floor for a productive bench piece. Starting with the point guard running Miami's engine, Davion Mitchell. His overall score sits just below that 780 starter threshold. But overall scores don't tell the full story here. The number that jumps off the chart is his passing ability. It's moved sharply from last season and is now sitting in top 10 territory league-wide. Miami scrapped the complex set offense. What replaced it runs almost entirely through Mitchell's passing, and the data reflects exactly that. His backup, Drew Smith, tells a different kind of story. Smith clears the 720 bench threshold comfortably, but his chart has one area that spikes well beyond everything else. His steal rate is genuinely off the chart. It pushes past the top 10 threshold by a significant margin. His overall defensive ability also lands inside that top 50 range. Two point guards, two completely different value profiles, Mitchell drives the pace with elite-level passing. Smith disrupts possessions at the point of attack, with steal numbers that don't belong on a backup. Neither one is a complete player by conventional standards, but in this specific system, their extreme specialization is exactly what keeps Miami's offense moving, and its perimeter defense from falling apart entirely. Moving to the shooting guard group. Tyler Herro is the focal point of this backcourt. His overall score sits at 779, just 1 point shy of that starter threshold. But the number that defines his value is scoring efficiency. It pushes well into that top 50 range on the chart. On a team that ranks near the bottom of the league in transition finishing and leans heavily on isolation, a score with that kind of efficiency should be the stabilizing force the offense runs through. The problem is availability. Herro appeared in just 33 games this season. He underwent a minor procedure on his right foot shortly after the season ended. Maybe the league's fastest pace put too much stress on his body. Maybe a chronic issue finally caught up with him. Either way, the outcome is the same. Miami's most efficient scorer missed the majority of the season, and the offense showed it. Pelle Larsson absorbed that absence in the rotation. His overall score lands at 756, which clears the bench threshold. And his chart looks almost nothing like Herro's. There's no single area that spikes dramatically. Instead, it spreads evenly across every category, consistently above average, without a clear weakness anywhere. His defensive score specifically comes in at 758, above the league mean, and that mattered. When Herro was out, opposing teams couldn't simply attack that spot in the rotation. Larsson held his ground and kept the system functioning. Two players, two completely different profiles. Herro produces at an elite level when he's on the floor, but this season, the floor was rarely available to him. Larsson doesn't have a defining weapon, but he kept the second unit stable and the defense intact. That tension between individual ceiling and system reliability runs through everything Miami dealt with this season. The small forward group is next, and that's where the offense found its sharpest edge. The small forward group is where the speed the guards generate either converts into points or stalls out. Jaime Jaquez Jr. has stepped into the leadership void left by Butler's departure. His overall score sits at 796. But what his chart actually shows is a player who operates almost entirely against the grain of the modern NBA. His three-point ability dips well below league average, a significant concave on the chart. Meanwhile, his defensive score registers at 777, and his assist and rebound lines push outward with real force. He's not spacing the floor. He's attacking the paint with physicality and high basketball IQ, cleaning up the messes that the pace-first system keeps generating. In a team whose interior defense has been steadily eroding all season, Jaquez is the connective tissue holding it together. Then there's Norman Powell, and this is where the offense actually lives. His overall score comes in at 804. But the number that defines him this season is his scoring efficiency. It registers at 817, that's deep into top 10 territory on the chart. On a team with no complex sets, no choreographed actions, and the fastest pace in the league, Powell is the player who manufactures buckets out of nothing. Spot-ups, isolations, transition finishes, he produces across all of it, and that production directly lifted Miami's offensive rating into the top half of the league. The cost, though, is real. Powell is 33 years old. He's been carrying the offensive load on a team that runs more possessions than anyone else in the league, without the structural support of a designed offense. He admitted publicly he was playing through accumulated pain. That's not sustainable, and it shows in how he faded down the stretch. He's also headed into free agency this offseason. The front office has to decide whether to commit significant money to a 33-year-old coming off an injury-shortened season, at exactly the moment they're also pursuing a blockbuster trade. Jaquez, absorbing contact in the paint without a three-point threat, Powell carrying the offensive weight on a deteriorating body. These aren't complementary pieces building towards something balanced. They're a snapshot of two separate structural problems coexisting in the same lineup. The power forward group is where Miami's speed experiment either holds together or exposes itself. Andrew Wiggins is playing up a position from his natural wing spot, and that decision carries enormous weight in this system. His overall score comes in at 796. There's no single area where his chart spikes dramatically. Instead, every line pushes outward from the league average in all directions. Defensive score at 781, three-point score at 612, passing and rebounding all above the mean. He's not dominant in any one category, he's consistently above average in all of them, and on a team that sacrificed size for speed, that kind of versatility is irreplaceable. When Wiggins is on the floor, Miami's switch-heavy small ball scheme functions. His mobility lets him cover multiple positions defensively without breaking the structure. When he went down with an injury mid-season, the defense unraveled almost immediately. That's not a coincidence. The system depends on him being present in a way that very few role players are dependent upon. Simone Fontecchio provides the depth behind him. His overall score sits at 730, which clears the bench threshold. His defensive score specifically registers at 803. That's a strong number for a backup forward. He doesn't generate highlight plays or create off the dribble, but he holds his defensive assignments and keeps the intensity level consistent when Wiggins rests. That's a genuinely difficult role to fill, and Fontecchio filled it reliably all season. The versatility Wiggins brings, backed by Fontecchio's steady defense, that pairing is a real reason this offense stayed functional for as long as it did. But all that mobility, all that pace, all that switching, it concentrates the physical cost on one player more than anyone else on the roster. And that's exactly where we're headed next. The center group is the final piece, and in many ways the most revealing one. Bam Adebayo's overall score sits at 871. That puts him among the elite tier in the entire league, regardless of position. His defensive score is exceptional. His passing ability for a center is genuinely rare. He reads passing lanes, covers the full court in transition, and distributes at a level most guards can't match. Miami's offense, at its fastest and most functional, runs directly through him. Without Adebayo as the hub, the system doesn't hold its shape. And that's precisely the problem. Centers already carry the heaviest physical load on any roster. Interior contact, rebounding, rim protection, every possession. Now layer on top of that the demands of playing at the fastest pace in the league, as the primary playmaker, primary finisher, and primary defensive anchor, all at once for an entire season. Adebayo went down late in the year, Miami's defensive rating immediately fell apart. That sequence wasn't bad luck. It was the predictable outcome of a system that placed every critical function on one player's body and asked him to sustain it over 82 games at maximum speed. The numbers on his chart are genuinely impressive. They're also a clear record of how much this roster asked of him, and how close to the edge he was pushed. Kelowari showed real promise as the backup. His rebounding numbers push into top-tier territory league-wide, and his ceiling is high. But when Adebayo left the floor this season, the pace-first offense lost its tactical foundation. Ware isn't ready to replace what Adebayo provides, and right now, no one on this roster is. That's the structural problem Miami is carrying into the offseason. The system works, but only when one specific player is healthy, present, and operating at full capacity. The front office knows it. The numbers make it impossible to ignore. Where Miami stands right now is the end of a first phase. Spoelstra extracting the maximum from a limited roster and hitting the ceiling of what that roster can actually do. The model for pace-based offense in this league is Indiana. The Pacers run 5-out spacing. Their bigs stretch the floor, the paint stays open, and the whole system breathes. Miami can't replicate that. Bam Adebayo, Jaime Jaquez Jr., and Pelle Larsson don't carry credible three-point threats. The floor doesn't open the same way. Miami has to find a different version of the same concept. The path Spoelstra is likely mapping out without a major free agent addition runs through Tyler Herro as the primary engine, not just a scorer. Herro, Powell, and Wiggins generate enough perimeter threat to pull defenses outward. That creates driving lanes. Adebayo and Jaquez attack those gaps with their physicality and speed. It's not 5-out. It's shooters creating space and bigs converting it. A hybrid that fits this specific roster better than any direct imitation of Indiana would. The problem with that vision is already documented. Adebayo's body absorbed more than it should have this season. The system needs a mobile, physical big who can share his workload. Someone who can protect the rim and rebound hard without requiring Adebayo to be everywhere at once. That's the targeted addition this path requires. That's option 1. Option 2 is sitting on the table right now, and it points in the opposite direction entirely. The front office is actively pursuing a trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. If Adebayo is approaching his physical ceiling as the system's anchor, one answer is to stop asking him to carry it, and bring in a player who redefines what the system even is. The cost would be significant. Herrera, young core pieces, multiple first-round picks, potentially a third team involved, the entire future asset base, traded for a player who makes tactical systems secondary. 2 roads. Refine the existing structure around Herro and a complementary big, or move all the future capital for Antetokounmpo and rebuild the identity from scratch around individual dominance. Miami's front office is deciding that right now. The outcome will define this franchise for the next several years. Do you think Miami should build on what they have and let Spoelstra complete the system? Or trade everything for Giannis and start over around one dominant player? Put your take in the comments. If you got something out of this video, a like and a subscription go a long way. See you in the next one.